Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 16 Reunion Part 2.
We need you to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Before we get started, we got to do winners and losers again, Blair. Winners of this Part 2 reunion are...
Drew.
Losers.
Porsha, Shamia, Angela.
Winners, no one. Losers, everyone. You ready?
I'm ready.
Walk us through this episode.
Well, Phaedra doesn't need to secure her spot because she has a guaranteed contract. Angela approaches Porsha about why are you believing Phaedra after the situation to where you carried back a lie that wasn't true in the past. And Porsha is just saying, look, this guy just wasn't believable. He's putting lies in between with truth. And Angela explains that he used Junebug to try to protect his sister. Angela says Phaedra is a producer. That's her motive. She wants to be able to have a story. And she acts like she knows Charles, but she doesn't know Charles. And Phaedra says that she's been around him, met him about 10 years ago.
Keep going.
Phaedra ends up calling her brother. He doesn't know who Kim is. And then we learn that someone came up to threaten Angela on behalf of Phaedra, saying that she had some hands.
What is your thoughts on this?
Honestly, it's not a gotcha moment. It's really not. Everything is circumstantial. Could he possibly have a Facebook friend of somebody he went to high school with back in the day? Possibly. Could Phaedra know the woman in passing? Possibly. Marcus introduced himself to you too. That's how you know his name. So I'm really over the story, honestly. And Drew thinks that, you know, Marcus was afraid that Phaedra was afraid to even come out to say that Phaedra paid him to bring the story forward.
Another question before I give my opinion. Do you believe Angela?
I believe that she believes what she's saying to be true, but I really believe that Marcus came on here to try to get 5 minutes of fame. I really don't think anybody put him up to this. I think that he saw an opportunity and ran with it.
Okay. This is stupid. Even when Angela even says that near the end of the season, she didn't feel supported by Drew. And then she says the reason why she didn't feel supported by Drew, it was about the whole Marcus thing. What? Because the whole gotcha moment was messed up by your husband? It was messed up by Charles. So you didn't feel supported when basically you try to come up with this whole gotcha moment to where you could be like, was it Drew? Was it Kelly? Was it Porsha? It's like, I understand that you are accusing Phaedra of basically self-producing, but that was a very self-produced scene of the finale of this season. And the thing about it is, the whole Facebook and friends thing, the whole point of Facebook was to reconnect with people you went to school with. That was the initial point of Facebook. So is it possible that you can be friends with somebody you went to school with, no matter if it's high school or college? Yes. And haven't had one conversation with them? Yes, very possible. So I think, Angela, this is a second attempt of a gotcha moment. This is a second attempt of you pull out a folder, you pulled out, hey, if this is your sister, if this is your brother, whoever it was in your family, this your cousin. And I think this is 2 strikes, and it's like you only got 1 more strike with this storyline thing right here. Truth be told, you are actually giving more life to Phaedra with this gotcha moment or fake gotcha moment than Phaedra deserves. Without this gotcha moment, Phaedra really ain't got nothing to really talk about.
Right. So
that's why I'm like, I think, Angela, you should drop it. I think I lean more on your side of, do I believe that Phaedra did it? I believe that Angela believes that Phaedra did it. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, whoever put Marcus up to it, Marcus did it. You get what I'm saying? And he got to live with that. He chose, for whatever reason, to not stand on his own morals and to basically do the work.
I think he stood on his morals.
Whatever, right? To stand on his own morals and things like that, and to basically be like, you know what? Let's take a chair of whoever husband ain't cheating on him. It just seems phony. Truth be told, it's not even a moment worth mentioning and really harping on during the reunion.
So Kelli clears up that she never compared her situation to Angela's, saying that I don't want you to be in a position as bad as mine. We see the clip where Kelli said at the Bailey Q, I've been in your position and I pray you don't get in the position that I am. Kelli, for some reason, didn't remember it, but she apologized anyway because she wasn't trying to come for Angela's marriage. So she says. Angela brought her original birth certificate, so she was born in 1981.
Okay, now, okay, sure.
And Angela had to walk away from her houses.
Hey, listen here. This is what happens when you listen. Charles basically said the bank is closed. I said it during the whole season. Basically, she's partnering up with Charles. Basically, Charles is the money, and he's giving you money to basically flip it and to make money. You haven't done it. So now, guess what? If you want a loan, you actually need to go to the real bank instead of the bank of Charles Oakley, you know?
So Drew left Angela hanging at the Bailey queue. Angela also didn't feel like Drew had her back at the finale. So Drew ends up apologizing for not showing up in the way that Angela wanted her to. And honestly, I can see where Angela's coming from, because Drew wasn't having her back in the way that Kelly and Britt were when they were close friends, so to speak. And I do feel like Angela spoke up for Drew and tried to, stood in the gap for Drew to come to Porsha's, birthday trip celebration. So I do feel like Drew could have stepped up a little bit more when it came to Angela. Just by the simple fact of, if I'm sitting up arguing with people at the Bailey queue, you can't sit beside me. You don't have to necessarily say what's true and what's not, because y'all don't really know each other. But you don't have to be off in a corner talking about, I don't need to be around that.
What is the saying? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, or something like that. I think that's really the foundation of Drew and Angela's whole friendship right there. I think the reason why Drew didn't feel the need to really stand up for Angela at the end during that whole Marcus thing, because number one, it was weird. It was a weird gotcha moment. Truth be told, don't blame Drew for not standing up for you. Your husband ruined the scene for you. You get what I'm saying? And also, Drew doesn't have a problem with Phaedra, right? Compared to, hey, Drew may have a problem with Porsha or something like that, or Drew may have a problem with Shamia and Angela. In that moment, it just seemed like you put your back up against the wall and was basically like, fighting off these people that was basically coming for you. So in a way, I kind of see it from both perspectives, but I side more with Drew. Hey, if you really had a great gotcha moment, you wouldn't even need my support, because the moment would have did it for you.
Facts. Shamia then turns to Drew and asks, why is it okay for you not to support Angela, but Porsha not supporting me caused everybody to get into our business and to pick apart our friendship? Shamia feels like she owns her part, and Drew asks her what is her part, and now Shamia wants Drew to stop talking because Shamia don't have nothing else to say.
You cut me off.
And then Shamia, you were the one telling people that you were unhappy about different situations in your friendship. Is it possible that they could have asked you or prodded about things? Yes, but it's not as if everything was fine within your friendship to begin with. So there was something there to pick at. So I like how Shamia started the sentence with, not trying to make this about me and Porsha, me defending Porsha all the time, but then decided to continue on actually talking about you and Porsha friendship. It's not even a real friendship now, because y'all on the rocks. So, and then when you try to make a point, and then Drew is actually like, what point are you trying to make? She's like, you know what? I need you to stop talking. Shamia, I need you to come up with something better to say, because you was the one that butted into the conversation, and now you telling the people who was initially talking in the conversation to be quiet when you really had nothing to say. And even the thing you said was apples and oranges. It's not the same. It's literally not the same. And truth be told, it's not even worth speaking up, because you and Porsha are not even friends right now. So it's not even worth bringing up, but continue. So Andy asked why Phaedra didn't come to the Married to Medicine reunion, but came here, and pretty much she didn't have nothing else to give the Married to Medicine ladies, and it was her time to leave.
You didn't go because you did not want to face actually all those women and things like that. I can see why you wanted to be part of this cast based on how this reunion went tonight, right? You got Shamia, who's a flop. You got Angela, got your moment. That's a flop. You got Kelly, who is a flop. You got Cynthia on the side. Kenya not responding to no calls. You got Porsha over there, who intentions still haven't been met in part 2, where basically she said, I'm all for truth and moving forward. We are in the same place and you're still lying. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why Phaedra is part of this cast, because at the end of the day, Dr. Jackie may not say nothing throughout the whole season, but I find it very hard that you go catch Jackie in a sparring of tongue. You ain't gonna beat Dr. Heavily, or maybe City Council Heavily, whatever she's running for down in Georgia. You ain't beating Quad in no sparring. You're not being Toya in no sparring of like the mouth. So basically, you went to basically not face what you basically said about all of them being mean girls on Married to Medicine. So you ran and left. That's really the truth. Because truth be told, you didn't add nothing to this reunion right here. Only thing Phaedra kept doing after every time Andy got done talking, she go,
Yeah, and also she really wasn't part of this season that much.
Yeah.
So But Phaedra saw that Britt was self-sabotaging, so she took her underneath her belt and pretty much gave her the advice to show herself friendly. Kelli and Shamia told Britt the same thing, but Shamia says while Phaedra and Porsha were trying to help Britt, Britt was lying and trying to come for them.
Okay.
Phaedra says that people are making strong opinions of folks off of one experience, and Angela can receive that. Phaedra did reach out to Angela after her mother passed away, and she tells her it was genuine.
Okay.
Porsha asks, the question is asked, why can Porsha be so cool with Phaedra, but she can't extend the same grace with Shamia? And Porsha says the difference is time.
What do you mean, Porsha? I need you to go into more detail. You know what I mean? But you know what? If she gonna say time, I'm gonna say, you know what, Porsha, I'm gonna accept that answer.
So Shamia talked to Porsha about the rumors that Phaedra said about her being community property.
Yep.
And apparently they squashed that, and they were, back to their original friendship after that conversation. Phaedra also had a conversation with Shamia before she came back to the show. Apparently it was a long conversation, and they agreed that they were good. But Shamia has been telling the ladies, going on interviews, saying that she still has an issue with Phaedra. And Phaedra says, you said to me while we were talking that it was laughable and no one was going to believe it. Angela and Cynthia agree that Shamia, if you're still upset, then you need to bring it up and talk to Phaedra about it and not stifle your feelings, since you did bring it up at the Pampered by Porsha event. Cynthia says the problem is you act like it doesn't bother you when it does. And Shamia, she tries to say, of course I'm going to downplay it, of course I'm not going to try to give it life or whatever the case may be, but she ends up coming around to say, but Phaedra, I really never heard you say sorry for it. So Phaedra apologizes.
What is your thoughts on this?
I think this is the problem that Shamia has. It seems like in relationships that she doesn't reveal her true feelings, or she's passive aggressive about her true feelings. If Phaedra is sitting down having a conversation with you, I'll give you this. Phaedra, you knew that you talked bad about that girl.
Facts.
And if you were going to be in the same vicinity as her, then you should have taken it upon yourself to apologize for some trash that you said about her. And Shamia shouldn't have to ask for it. However, Shamia, if you're downplaying it and making it not a big deal, then she wouldn't find a reason to need to address it with you. So I think that's the same issue that she has in her relationship with Porsha, to where things are bothering her and she chooses to talk about it with other people. And when it comes to actually addressing it, like, they kind of just push things under the rug. Even, this might be a little harsh, but with her husband,
I was going to go there, Blair, but go ahead.
And the fact that they want to grow their family, the way that it was talked about as far as, oh, well, he does things to please me, so I want to make sure I please him. It sounds like she's getting caught in that people pleasing thing. And she's like, oh, well, it's not like he's going to leave me if I don't. So I'm wondering, are you afraid of people leaving you if you don't act like everything's okay? Like, you can have conflict and friendships, relationships, and actually get back to being in a good space without just throwing everything under the rug and acting like it's fine. So yeah, that's just a common thread that I'm seeing for Shamia. And I don't feel like it's good for the show. These shows are about conflict and resolution. And and of course, fun shade here and there, but if there's an actual issue, you actually do have to address it head on.
What did she say? She said, it's a marriage. It's a marriage. It's marriage. You know what I mean? Here's the thing about it, right? They ask you flat out, because a viewer, you know how Annie be reading the questions from the viewers and things like that. It just seems like your husband is basically making you go through this, and like, basically, is the goal to have a son? Like, and she never gave a straight answer. It was basically like, this is what you do when you're married. It's a marriage. But when people ask you direct questions, unless there's somebody there to please or someone to get some approval from, you realize that Shamia is stuck in the mud. Because she needs someone to please. She needs to be a people pleaser. So if we go from the beginning of this to your whole point of, hey, Shamia, why are you even cool with Phaedra? Let's just start with that right now.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to basically be cool with Phaedra.
No, y'all can be cordial, but y'all shouldn't be cool.
But you have more beef with Britt, who you just met.
Yeah.
Right? Compared to the woman, Phaedra, that actually was penalized, right, from being on the show, because Katie was like, you know what, she ain't gonna be on this show, basically spreading these lies, spreading these rumors. And the fact that Phaedra's on this show is because Candy's not here. And that rumor that was so dark, that rumor basically being community property and things like that, is so disrespectful to you personally. You can basically laugh about it, downplay it, right? But you about to break down and basically start wailing because the minute you start talking about your own child and talk about how nobody can walk in your own shoes, you have so clarity in that. That's why I don't really understand where Shamia stands. Like, why do you want to be friends with Phaedra? So to Blair's point, Phaedra, you don't need to be basically provoked to apologize when you know you're wrong, right? So don't try to say we had a long conversation and you really never said anything about me lying on you. So like, why do you have a problem? Yeah. If you want to be someone that have a good moral compass, you will apologize if you know you did something wrong. So I put that responsibility on Phaedra. I also put the responsibility on Shamia to be like, you know what, because I didn't get that apology, I'm not going to laugh it off. And basically the only problem I had with this scene right here, why Phaedra gotta back you up into a corner, Shamia, to basically force her to give you an apology where you're the one that was wrong. So I'm like, now the one that wronged you basically gotta say, make me apologize. I'm like, Shamia, there's too many times and too many basic examples we've seen throughout the season that you will laugh it off or you sweep it under the rug, but then you talk about it with somebody else, or basically you're never over it. You go on these interviews and things like that, and at the end of the day, that people pleasing thing, at the end of the day, you end up pleasing nobody. At the end of the day, you just be the one that's hurt. And that's where you are with your friendship with Porsha. Like, at the end of the day, you're the only one that's hurt out of the fact that you and Porsha is not friends.
So Shamia's husband sends her flowers during the break.
Yeah.
Charles, Dennis, and Chi arrive for the ladies, and Shamia's talking about how she felt off her game. She didn't feel like she got a chance to address certain things because she didn't want to talk over people. She was also talking to Kelly, and she was saying to her there really was no alliance. I really don't understand why Porsha is sitting up so mad on the stage. Any thoughts about that?
Listen, I want to go with Angela word. She said allegiance. She said, I was a part of no allegiance. And I said, you know what, Angela, me neither. Yeah. I don't understand what Shamia is basically back there hyping herself up, talking about I'm going to talk now. I'm going to talk now. Like, you know, they not going to shut me up. I got things to say. And as we about to see, she really ain't got nothing to say. Yeah. At least nothing of clarity, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we get Kenya's statement that basically she apologizes, takes accountability for what she did. Britt's statement was that she was devastated by the events of the season, and the photos shown were not of her.
First of all, I did not like this segment at all. I turned to my wife and said, if you're not going to, outside of Britt, because Britt just didn't show up. But Kenya, she said she was invited, and then they didn't invite her no more and things like that. They took it back. If you're not going to actually have the person speak for their own actions, I do not want to have a segment of basically, what do y'all think? No, we had the opportunity to have Kenya here. Yeah. To where it doesn't matter what I thought. You get what I'm saying? You can actually get more in-depth information if we have the person that actually did it on the stage. It would be a better person up there than Cynthia, because Cynthia basically, we crowned her as basically the one that was the glue of the group, but Cynthia didn't really do much for me this season. And to me, that would have been more of a seat filler than basically bringing Kenya on, than basically Cynthia being there talking about me and Kenya not friends no more because she ain't answering my calls and I haven't heard from her since. So I really didn't like this segment with the whole like talking about it, but yet you didn't invite Kenya. Also with the Britt thing. Do we believe anything that this woman say when it comes down to the whole, like, you know what? Oh, yeah, by the way, the picture wasn't me. The photo wasn't me. It just to me, if that's the case, everybody lying there. Porsha lying, Britt lying, and things like that, basically talking about, yeah, you know, she got the photos from someone on the cast. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm done talking about Britt and things of that nature.
Yeah, so Shamia's thinking that Britt played into the fact that there were pictures shown of her because apparently she and Kelly went out that same night. Britt was in a good mood. Then the next day she was devastated and needing to rely on the ladies for support. No one thought that Kenya was actually, you know, going after Britt this season the way that Britt felt like Kenya was coming after her since day one.
Definitely not enough to say guns and whips and things of that nature.
And Cynthia says that she did have grace for Kenya. She just didn't like how Kenya responded, but she also feels like Britt shouldn't have brought up a weapon. And I think that's the issue with Cynthia when we're talking about how she didn't really have Kenya's back. We're not expecting you to agree with what Kenya did, but I feel like just as loud as she was putting Kenya down, she wasn't putting Britt down in the same way of what they both did. It wasn't equal to me. And I think it's fair for Kenya to not want to take her phone calls.
And also, you know Kenya. So, in my opinion, I think you should just flip it. I think you should too. Like your point, just talk about how wrong it was for Britt to talk about pistols and whips and things like that, and in passing say, yeah, Kenya didn't have to go that far, but then like harp on actually the action first that caused the reaction.
Agreed.
Because you actually know Kenya compared to you knowing Britt, you know?
So Porsha did see the fear in Kenya when Britt was making all those threats, and she became protective of Kenya, but we know Kenya became a loose cannon, and she was going to retaliate. Apparently, Kenya got the information from a castmate. She eventually says Drew sent Kenya the information.
Yeah.
Kenya told her that personally, and Drew was like, Kenya came out publicly and said that she got it from the internet. Now, to me, here goes Porsha repeating things that people have said to her. Is it possible that Kenya told Porsha that Drew did it? Yes. But Porsha is speaking as though she knows for a fact that Drew sent Kenya those pictures. And if Kenya is switching up her story, then it would behoove Porsha to not speak on where she got the pictures from if the person who was your source isn't sticking to the same story. You might as well just stay out of it.
First of all, Blair, when you right, you ain't wrong. But I will say this, did you catch the small detail in the scene right here?
What's that?
She was basically talking about how Britt is basically like, you know, she threatened Kenya and basically she could see the fear in Kenya's eyes, right? And when you got a loose cannon who will retaliate, basically get back, Kenya, this is what's going to happen. And then Porsha said this. She said she was basically helping Kenya basically get the thing together. And I was like, what are you talking about?
I didn't even know what Porsha meant by that, because you also say that you didn't know the pictures were going to come out until they were on the board. So were you talking to her while she was putting this together? That's what I'm saying. It's a whole bunch of lies everywhere. It's crazy.
So let me get this straight. If we go about what you said, right? I'm gonna paraphrase again. That basically you know what Kenya's going to do, and you basically said I was collaborating with Kenya for her retaliation, but at the same time, you over here talking about she got the photos from Drew, where Britt is talking about the photos, not even me. So now everybody, we're basically in a whole standstill because the person who actually did the act was invited and then uninvited to like the reunion. So we only could go by what we think, which holds no weight because we didn't do it. Right. You get what I'm saying? And now Porsha is talking about it was very bad what Kenya did, especially since she got underage pictures and things like that of this girl. Britt talked about it wasn't me, but then you over here talking about, yeah, I helped Kenya, but once I actually saw the poster board, I was like, it's too far. So you was part of it or not?
She was saying that specifically what she said is, I wanted to help Kenya to shape how it would get out there. And I'm just like, what does that actually mean? What does that mean?
So I'm like, so you was part of retaliation or not? That's why I'm like, everybody was just talking about nothing, and it just seemed like a whole bunch of lies. Who can lie the most? This part 2 of the reunion.
So we get to Shamia's package, and then she starts crying about the comment Britt made about her faking about her daughter being sick. Yeah, and it was too far. And I also agree that Britt didn't need to make that comment. It was too far.
Was it too far? Yes. Did it need to be said? Yes. I think both things can be true, right? Okay. Because here's the risk. You want to be on this show. And truth be told, unfortunately, on reality TV shows, especially on shows like this, everybody's not going to play by your rules, right? So when you make your life an open book, somebody can criticize your actions. So if you did allegedly leave Grenada and went on vacation, didn't even go home, went to Miami with Kelli and things like that, and it's and like it is documented, then I had no problem with Britt bringing it up. I don't. Yeah. Is it low? Yes, it's very low. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, this is what you signed up for.
So she does have a new surrogate. The other surrogate that we saw at the show, the transfer failed, so that didn't work out. Yeah. Shamia, and this is where she talks about wanting to please her husband. And, if she can't give him a baby or a son, it's not like he's going to leave her. And I'm just like, I think you might be scared of that, Shamia.
Yeah, because I don't even, is that an option?
Yeah.
Like who said that?
Yeah.
But okay.
Now, Drew is a triple threat. Yes, Shamia shaded Drew's music, and she said that she shaded her songs, not her voice. And Drew was like, well, you did say that I was a liar talking about 5 languages, but I wasn't lying because it was about love languages. And then Drew gives her a love languages book. Shamia pretty much doesn't want to accept it, but Drew asks her, what else did I lie about? Shamia pulls out this bag that apparently there is a brand name, Judith Lieber, I think they said, of what the expensive version of the bag is.
Yeah.
But she said that Drew got it from Akira. Now, it was a flop to me because as a viewer, and I don't own either bag, I can't tell which is which. So who cares? What else do Drew be lying about? And Drew do be lying sometimes.
Yeah.
But we really could care less about this bag. And I also felt like Porsha was taking the air out of her gotcha moment by saying, well, give me the bag, girl.
Of course.
So yeah, so Porsha still ain't got your bag.
Yeah, she don't got your back. Number one, 100% agree with that. If I really don't understand why are you arguing with Drew about her music and what she means in her music. Even when she says something across the line of like, your team told me that you had to change it to affirmations or something like that. And Drew was like, it always been that. Yeah. And that's what she was like, no, it wasn't. And Drew was like, yes, it was. What's your point, Shamia? Like, where,
and why are you hogging it so hard?
Where are we going?
Yeah.
Let me out right now, because you leading us literally nowhere. You said you wanted to talk. I didn't know that you had a little martini glass bag, and I didn't know that you was leading us down a debate about was she talking about actual languages or love languages. Let me out right here. And I walked the rest of the way.
Honestly, I would have preferred her brought up the whole she's Marcus Jordan's cousin as a lie. And Drew would have just said, well, I was joking. And I'm just like, Drew, you might have been joking, but you do be saying lies for fun. I really don't know what you like, what it does for you. So.
Yeah, I like Shamia's point was, if she's gonna lie about the little things, she gonna lie about the big things. And I was like, I'd rather you bring up the big things then.
Exactly. Bring up something big.
Yeah. Look, but we not gonna skip over part one about how y'all lied about why y'all met up with Ralph. That's a big reason.
That is a big reason.
That's not a martini glass. That's not 5 languages. You're talking about, oh, this is my podcast partner. Porsha basically let the cat out the bag on you again.
Right.
Basically saying, like, yeah, I did went there to be shady. I'm sorry. So, Shamia, you want to speak up? You want to speak up? Come on. Pick a language. Speak to us. Keep going.
Now, Kelly doesn't remember, apparently, this text that Shamia was supposedly showing her and Britt.
Okay.
And Shamia says that it was more so a response to whether or not Shamia and Porsha celebrated her getting impeached, which they didn't celebrate.
Yeah.
And Drew said, well, you told me and Angela that you were upset about the fact that you guys didn't celebrate.
I said, let me out. See, and this is what I'm talking about.
But if I can add a little bit more color to it.
Go ahead.
Is that Porsha apparently did text Shamia or call her, and Shamia, was on the podcast with Candy and was saying that, basically Candy had to press her to say, did Porsha contact you at all? And she did contact her to congratulate her, but I guess in Shamia's eyes, they didn't celebrate.
Let me ask you a question on this.
Sure.
Think back to mid-season where Angela says Shamia is plotting something. She got a plan and things like that. Do you think it is purposeful the way that Shamia was playing semantics here? Because the whole point of this argument was that, hey, you said that, hey, Porsha did not congratulate you or celebrate you getting the peach, right? Shamia was caught in her lie, and she said, no, it's not that. It's just that we didn't go out. Because Porsha was like, I did send you a text. I did say congratulations and things of that nature. And she was like, no, I wasn't saying that. I basically saying that we did not go out. We did not celebrate. But that's when Drew and Andrew was like, that's not what you meant though. Do you think Shamia is purposely putting these things out there for us to interpret it ourselves so she could have a little wiggle room to be like, well, I meant we did not go out?
No, I think that Shamia is a poor communicator.
Okay.
I don't think that, I honestly don't think it's malicious. I think that she misremembers things and mistells stories. Just like when she was in Nashville, I can't recall the exact situation, but she was basically saying how one of the ladies was talking about Porsha, but they weren't really talking about her in the way that she relayed the information. And so I think that Shamia, I just think she's a bad communicator. I really think that's just what it is. What do you think?
I think for someone who tears up with the thought of their friendship, we've seen Shamia visibly get upset about not being friends with Porsha. We see her visibly get excited about being friends with Porsha. And you always talk about how I will go to war for Porsha, right? Cool. These are her words. Why are you why are you talking about me and leaving it up for interpretation then? Mm-hmm. If that's the case, just don't talk about it, right? You get what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, I don't know if she's doing it purposely, because for her to have a plan, as Angela is alleged for her to have of Shamea having, it would have to give off that Shamea is being kind of snide and being kind of like, I don't want to say smart, but like she's like basically like she's being big brain. Yeah. Like basically I'm going to play chess with this. But I don't think Shamea is doing that, right? I think she is playing checkers. I think there is something to her being a poor communicator, but I also don't understand for someone that prides themselves on defending Porsha and things of that nature, even barking when they joke around, calling you a lapdog. Why you keep talking about me then? Yeah. Like talk about me in more clear ways. Why are you bringing up? And now, granted, Angela did. She did strategize that, talking about, Shamea said that she was mad about the whole thing. But my whole thing is like, talk about me in a better light then. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, Shamea, like, she doing semantics just to get out of accountability, because you said I did not celebrate you or I didn't congratulate you, but I did send you a text. And now you saying, well, no, I meant we did not go out. Nah, I'm not accepting that.
So we see Porsha and Shamea's friendship package. They are currently not friends. It took a while for somebody to answer, and Porsha was the one who answered.
I was going to point that out.
Yeah.
Andy asked both of them a question.
Shamea was waiting to hear Portia's answer.
Exactly.
So she could say, yeah, that's what it is.
Exactly.
Because she wants to be friends with Porsha. So she was hoping Porsha would say something like a door's open or we're trying to figure it out.
Good catch,
Blair. So I'm just like, yeah, she did that on purpose. Yes,
because Andy was like, hello.
I think Porsha was trying to wait for Shamea to do the same thing, honestly.
My thing is, Shamea, you was the one in the back talking about, it's my time to talk. I'm going to talk. And then when you ask a direct question by Andy, you basically waiting to basically follow whatever Porsha had to say. And I'm just like, Shamea, you could have easily put your flag into the ground and be like, no, we're not friends.
Yeah.
But no, you ain't want to do that. But you're right, Blair.
So Porsha didn't like the recent smear campaign and interviews that Shamea was doing.
Yeah.
And how she went on, Candy's show, talk about she didn't congratulate her. But then you did say, I called you. Mm-hmm. You said you only had one wedding, but that was a lie. And Shamea says she did only have one wedding. Mm-hmm. You came on the show. You had a plan to sabotage me, to use what the fans knew about me over the years. They remembered me coming to your bridal shower, and you were laughing about my medical reason as to why I couldn't come to the wedding.
He said, I turned planes around because of my diagnosis.
Exactly.
I said, Porsha, stop it.
And Shamea's point was like, but now it's come out that you actually didn't come because we were beefing. Yeah. I didn't know we had an issue at the time. Well, Porsha needs to stay on her point because she wasn't realizing Shamea was going to remember that.
Yeah.
She says that was many years ago. We shared a beautiful friendship and you formed an alliance with these girls. Mm-hmm. Shamea tells her, I tried to include you in the alliance. And that's where I'm just like, Shamea, just backstage, you said there wasn't an alliance.
Or as Angela would say, allegiance.
Right. Uh-huh. Porsha said that she wasn't part of an alliance with them. She wasn't invited to the dinners where they was doing the pinky swearing. And Shamea said, we were early in the season when that happened, and I told them that we should all band together. And Porsha tells her, you never said that to me.
Can I ask you a question, Blair?
Sure.
My question to you is, Porsha said that Shamea she came on here to sabotage me. Usually you sabotage something that is like in good character, right?
Yeah.
How can Shamea sabotage Porsha?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what Porsha was talking about, because if anything, you could have said Kelly tried to sabotage you by bringing up the marriage or your situation.
At the end of the day, no one can sabotage Porsha. We seen your works.
But the thing is, like, Porsha will find situations to turn into Shamea doing something bad to her. Just like when Shamea told Kelly, if you have questions about Porsha's situation, you need to ask Porsha. And Porsha took it as, my best friend told you to approach me about my situation.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? Do you want Shamea speaking for you or not? So
yes,
this is all fabricated in Porsha's mind.
And that makes no sense to me, because Porsha, live in reality, please, at least for this segment, that, hey, you came on as the woman who stole someone's husband for the first time that we've seen you since you took that man's husband. So
woman's husband. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, that woman's husband. Mm-hmm. So you coming here, you was already starting at ground zero. There was no character to sabotage. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? It was only up for you, right? So the whole thing about, she's doing that to make me look bad, truth be told, her not coming to your wedding or like whatever it was to where you turning planes around is the least of our worries. We don't care about that. We want to know what's going on with you and Simon. We want to know why did you take that woman's husband. We want to know what you've been doing. We want to know, can you film in your house? We don't really care, to be honest, about the friendship you have with Shamia. So this whole smear campaign that she's accusing Shamia of, I think it's just another plot or another ploy of her to basically say, I don't want accountability for how I showed up this season.
Oh, for sure.
Like it makes no sense. And now I couldn't be my best self because I had a smear campaign against me by my own best friend. I'm like, stop it, Porsha. Come on now. I thought the intention was to be truthful and to move forward.
Truth ain't in her.
It's not even on her.
So apparently Porsha did a birthday post for Shamia. She feels like she received a smear campaign in return. They both are calling each other liars, and they bring up that egregious comment talking about Shamia's mom did something egregious to Porsha's mom. And Andy's trying to figure out what it is. For those of us who was keeping up online, what was going around was that there was a situation to where they both had daycares, and Diane, Porsha's mom, was going under. Shamia's mom heard about it, listened to her cry about it, all that type of stuff, and eventually bought the building. Not from her, but after she lost it. So,
you think they gonna bring that up in part 3?
Yeah, because they're currently talking about it now. So, I mean, I don't know if they'll really talk about it. They're interesting about what they choose to speak on and what they choose not to, and what they choose to lie about. Like, I can never keep up with like their reasons for that. If it's about a daycare, like, okay, maybe they wouldn't want to talk about it because it's their mom's business, but y'all put it out there. So yeah.
Dude, you have any other thoughts about this part 2 reunion that you had to sit through and take notes on?
Yeah, it was bad. It was just bad. It was bad.
Everybody, I don't understand, because I watch a little bit of Watch What Happens Lives and things like that, and I remember weeks ago when they started filming for the reunion, they was basically saying, I think it was Cynthia who said it, where they said, like, who basically, like, surprised you at the reunion, like, basically who had a good reunion, and she said Porsha had a good reunion. And I'm like, is there more parts than part 3? Because I'm like, there's no way Porsha gonna show up so great in the last part where it was terrible. This is probably the worst part of reunion for a cast that I've seen of this franchise, because I was like, everybody got your moment is flat. Everybody's lying. They are literally saying things to basically cancel out what they just said.
Right.
She's talking about I tried to get you in the alliance. After she said that there's no alliance, I'm like, I think they just saying words because they're nervous and they just feel like they have to respond or it's going to be dead air.
I think it's just showing that Porsha and Shamia are the same speed.
Yeah.
And this is why they had this friendship.
Listen, I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment. Let us know who were the winners of this part, who were the losers of this part. What do y'all think? Let me apologize to y'all right now for those who had to watch it and watched it and felt like they felt more confused. They felt like they should read a book after and things like that. Guess what? That's why I had to get this reunion taped tonight. I actually told Blair we're not going to record tonight, but I was like, I actually don't want to go to bed with this on my heart to actually record tomorrow. Let's get this out now. Let the world do whatever they want to do with it. And I want to hurry up and be done with season 16 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Y'all be good.
Bye.